Sawasdee krap and welcome to Thailand Top Stories, a brand new week. Now today there's no Thailand news today with Jet, but we've got Good Morning Thailand and probably Tiger Bites as well, just to keep you up to date with what's happening. There has been quite a lot of news over the weekend. Today is a public holiday in Thailand. It's the substitution day for yesterday, which was Father's Day in Thailand, which is the birthday of the former King of Thailand, King Bhumibol Adulyadej. So that's what today is all about. But for now, let's get started with today's main news stories. Even though Chon Buri province has allowed alcohol in restaurants as part of its designation as a tourist blue zone since Friday, only specific areas received the exemption to the ban on the serving of alcohol. Over the weekend, 4 restaurant managers outside of the approved blue zone areas, mostly in the popular alternate tourist area of Bang Saen, were arrested for selling alcohol against COVID-19 restrictions. Friday's order permits restaurants and hotels with SHA Plus certification to serve alcoholic beverages from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Reports say that an armada of around 100 officials raided the wayward restaurants. Authorities say they wanted to make it clear to locals and businesses that only Pattaya, Bang Lamung, Najomtiem, Koh Lan, Koh Si Chang, Bang Saen and parts of Sattahip and Sirasha have been permitted to sell alcohol in restaurants as part of the blue zone for tourists. Meanwhile, hundreds of former bars have also turned their lights on for the first time in 8 months as they use loopholes in the legislation that allows them to serve alcohol as long as they're serving food as well and operating, well, as a restaurant. Otherwise, generally good news on the COVID front, with the new daily case reports mostly under 5,000 for the past week, and the number of deaths also reaching new lows of 30 to 50 each day, both huge reductions from August this year when the number of daily deaths from COVID were exceeding 300. And for the Omicron trackers, we're happy to report that there's been no official reports of the COVID variant at this stage in Thailand, but that some 38 countries, including 10 states in the United States, have reported the new variant. And that's expected to climb as scientists continue to collate more information from patients to assess the potential impact of Omicron. CCSA officials in Thailand's deep south will this week consider whether to reopen the Thai-Malaysian border. The CCSA previously agreed in principle with the proposal and instructed its forward command to study the details. Border provinces include Pattaya, Songkhla, Satun, Yala and Narathiwat. But now that Malaysia has detected its first case of the new coronavirus variant in a foreign student who was quarantined after arrival from South Africa, the CCSA say they're monitoring the situation across the border closely. Thailand's deep south had a particularly bad patch of daily cases during October and November, but the infection rate has since dropped to a stage that local officials believe it will be safe to reopen the southern land borders. The usually busy border has been largely closed for nearly 2 years, stifling trade and tourism between Malaysia and Thailand. Eligible inmates will go free and others will have their sentences reduced following yesterday's Father's Day pardons by His Majesty the King. Father's Day in Thailand marks the birthday of former King Bhumibol Adulyadej's birthday. The Department of Corrections reports that about 32,000 inmates will be released. 22,000 of those were allowed to leave prison yesterday, and another 9,100 had their prison terms heavily reduced. In total, nearly 140,000 inmates benefited from the reduction of prison sentences under His Majesty's pardon. Thai authorities have intercepted nearly 900 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine hidden in a cargo shipment at Bangkok's port and bound for Taiwan, where it could be sold for up to $88 million. The drugs were seized by customs officials who found the stash hidden in powder inside 161 white silicon slabs in packages destined for Taiwan. As the final trains pull into the historic Hua Lompong railway station in Bangkok over the next few months, public hearings are being called to examine redevelopment options. Bangkok's old railway hub is officially moving to the much larger new Bang Saen Grand Station this month. Now the first hearing about Hua Lompong's future is being held on December the 14th. But already state railway authorities are walking back earlier announcements and saying that the 105-year-old iconic Hua Lompong station won't be torn down to make way for a new commercial development. A government spokesperson says the hastily organised hearings will be held to test the mood of the general public and stakeholders about the future of the old building. The SRT governor told conservationists over the weekend that Hua Lompong won't be pushed over. He said it won't be demolished as it's a historic landmark associated with the reign of King Rama V. And regional news, and Burmese security forces drove a car into anti-coup protests in Yangon yesterday morning, killing 5 protesters and injuring dozens of others. The military forces arrested at least 15 protesters in the morning rallies, and afternoon protests were carried out despite the carnage and arrests. Videos and photos that show the car ploughing into the crowd of protesters have been circulating on social media. The opposition National Unity Government, acting as a shadow government, has expressed heartbreak about the violence that's now seen more than 1,300 people killed in clashes with the military junta that overthrew the elected government in Myanmar on February the 1st this year. Well, that's all the main news stories from around Thailand the way we see it this morning. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, please. And we've got Jay and Natty coming up on Good Morning Thailand. I think Natty is remote today, having a bit of a long weekend away. I wonder where she is. But from all of us here, you're up to date on the Thaiger.